Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuca. Thanks so much for tuning in here. Wednesday, June 4th, the Jaguars have made another roster move. They've been busy the last 24 hours. They brought back DeJuan Smoot, Jaguars fan favorite. We talked about that earlier today. You can go check that out. They also signed wide receiver Trenton Irwin, who has spent a lot of time with Cincy, has some special teams ability, and they waived or released second-year undrafted free agent receiver David White Jr., who's a local guy. And then the latest move, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, the Jaguars have released running back Keilan Robinson, who was a day 3 pick by the Jaguars last year, 5th round, if I remember correctly. I think he was a 5th or 6th round pick. Let's see. But yeah, Keilan Robinson, the running back for the Jaguars, released by the team, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. He was 5th round, 167 overall. So yeah, I mean, 5th round picks, obviously not guaranteed a long-term future by the team that drafted them or anything like that. But, you know, reasonable investment last year for Keilan Robinson. And he's now being released by the team. We're going to talk about it here today. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. As I mentioned, the Jaguars have made a flurry of roster moves over the last 24 hours or so. They've also announced that the third and final minicamp practice next week on June 11th will be open to the public, but you have to register at jaguars.com/events/minicamp to attend that. So that is pretty cool that minicamp, that final minicamp practice will be open to the public for Jaguars fans. You just got to register over at the Jaguars website. So now talking about the Jaguars running back position, the release of Keilan Robinson, I think everybody's been kind of expecting moves to be made at the running back position for the Jaguars ever since the new regime came in, and ever since specifically the draft this year, where the Jags in the 4th round, their first 4th round pick, Bashal Tutin, they added out of Virginia Tech. And then later on in the draft in the 7th round, they added running back LaQuint Allen from Syracuse. They also added Jaquindon Jackson in undrafted free agency, who's a pretty talented, big physical back himself. They have Travis Etienne. They have Tank Bigsby. And they had Keilan Robinson. And now he is going to be looking for work elsewhere because the Jaguars have moved on from it. So what happened with Keilan Robinson is last year he had like a toe injury early on and never really got it going. And I think the Jaguars really did draft. They had a ton of draft picks last year. I think they really did draft him to be a special teams factor, returner. They were looking at the new rules and they were curious about how that might work. And so they wanted to have Keilan Robinson back there as a returner, unbelievably fast with the football in his hands, quick, flexible, agile, all that stuff, but undersized. Didn't have a ton of work at Texas. There's been a lot of really talented running backs to come through Texas lately. So never was like the feature back there. Was more of a offensive weapon and, again, return guy. And then gets to Jacksonville, obviously being drafted basically to be a special teamer and maybe part-time offensive guy is not going to be like the most secure position. And then you have the toe that really lingers a lot. And he just almost a wasted year in 2024. And then a new regime comes in and they probably look at this roster and they're like, well, we've got, especially after the draft, we've got a lot of guys we like at the running back position. And we've also got guys we like to return. And I think that they should like, Bashal Tutin as a returner. Parker Washington has a lot of experience there. They've got a lot of guys with speed. I think they've got a lot of options with their return game. And so I think that they looked at Keilan and they said, he's not going to make this roster as a running back. And he's not valuable enough compared to our other guys that could compete on special teams as returners to really have a roster spot for him. So let's see if, we can cut him loose and maybe he'll go find work elsewhere. I do think that he should get a shot somewhere. He belongs on a football field. He absolutely does. He's talented. But you look at the Jaguars, and Liam Cohen talked glowingly about Travis Etienne this past Monday. He's been a guy that a lot of people have been expected to be moved. He's going into the final year of his rookie deal, not coming off the best year of his career. In fact, coming off the worst year of his career. Obviously, his rookie year, he had the Liz Frank injury, so he didn't play. And then he had two really productive years following that in 2022 and 2023. And then last year was his least productive year, but a lot of reasons for that, I would say. So you've got him, and the Jaguars really like what he can be as a space player, a weapon, and somebody who can, take handoffs as well. I think Tank Bigsby has a lot of upside as he's powerful, he's explosive. He really improved his vision last year. The only downside with him is fumbles the ball too much. And neither he or Travis Etienne really do a great job in pass protection. Maybe that can be coached up a little bit this year. Then you bring in Bashal Tutin, who he's the primary reason I think a lot of people are kind of looking at Travis Etienne as potentially expendable. But I think that your best value for Travis Etienne is going to have him on the team this year. And you might not end up netting the 7th round pick that you would have netted by trading him, or who knows if even anybody would have given up anything for him in a trade. I'm not sure. So Bashal Tutin, though, very explosive himself, unbelievably fast, quick with the ball in his hands. He's got like more contact balance and strength than you would expect for somebody that runs a 4.3 40-yard dash at the running back position, but he's like shorter, more compact, smaller strike zone for tacklers, good contact balance, good strength throughout his frame. But he's going to be a type of guy that the Jaguars really hope to be able to weaponize as someone that can score from anywhere. And then you've got LaQuint Allen as well, who the Jaguars drafted in the 7th round. And I don't think that they looked at that as just like, oh, maybe this guy works. I think they like LaQuint Allen a lot because he's very good in pass protection, something none of their other backs are very good at. Very good there, very good pass catcher out of the backfield, pretty solid runner overall. And he has special teams value too. So you look at, that's 4 backs right there that were higher on the pecking order than Keilan Robinson. And then you also have Jaquindon Jackson, who they brought in, who's a big, powerful guy, but also has some explosiveness, some downhill thumping ability as a running back. And he was probably ahead of Keilan, or at least, right there in the same tier. And they've got some other young guys as well. So I just don't think there was a lot of room for him here in Jacksonville. And if you're not going to make this roster as the primary special teams guy, a returner, you're probably just, again, not going to be a top 4 running back. So I don't know how that would have fit. And I do hope, though, he gets an opportunity because at Texas, he was electric with the ball in his hands. You can go back and watch those, watch all the reps of him with the ball. And it's fun to watch. So Keilan Robinson will be looking for work again. David White will also be looking for work. He was an undrafted free agent last year, wide receiver who is from Jacksonville originally. Hopefully he'll get a chance to compete as well somewhere. But that'll do it for this one. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.